because I have a client and she's like, there are snakes. And
Snakes.
yeah. And I talked to the ranger, and there are more snakes this year because of the winter was so warm. And they're everywhere. And I saw more snakes than ever before. And I'm just terribly afraid of the snakes. And
Yeah.
I don't want to, I think about doing my soul quest now and then a more heavier one in autumn when there are not so many snakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so again, I just want to say I'm with you. Snakes, they're like low, they're kind of in the grass, and they go for my ankles. At least a bear, I feel like I have a chance in hell of, like, if my senses are open. But snakes are hidden and still, and some of them are poisonous. So I share your concern around snakes. Absolutely. Um, again, the question is, yes, there's snakes, and yes, there are more snakes. Now the question is, so how many people are getting bitten, get very sick, and or die? I mean, this is really the biggest question. So there's the presence of snakes, can't do anything about that. And then there's the effect. So talk to a ranger. So are people dying? And again, I mean, if the answer is, you know, snakes have taken out a dozen people this season, I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. No, not for me. Um, how and then snake precaution, right? So here's one thing I know. We don't if it's a hot day, we don't decide to take our hand under a log. I mean, this seems obvious, but some people don't have, they live in concrete constantly. And they're just like, I think I'm just going to feel under this log. So you want to think like a snake. It's kind of easy because we have a reptilian brain, and you get long and skinny. And so you don't do that. You also don't go banging, going, just running through grasses. You make sound, you can bang with a stick. You're alerting things. You don't want to frighten a snake. They don't actually want to bite you. It's not actually a great thing for them because we're huge and they can get hurt. So we want to walk slowly in some places, carefully. We want to make noises in some situation. The beautiful thing is, with the internet, we can read, and it's not like a whole encyclopedia about like how to be in snake territory. But I like going to experts. So I would say, you know, and then the spiritual part, I'd be like, honestly, there's the actual bear, and there's the actual snake, and then there's just the thing in the forest, which is ancestral. So, it's in the end, it's up to them. You're leaving them with a empowerment of research.
Yeah, and another question is like, I'm afraid that when I'm on the spot, I can't think about anything else than the snakes, and it will destroy my quest because I can't focus and be still because all of this, like, more on the spiritual realm of the fear, like, kind of destroying my quest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful. You will
yeah,
be so lucky if that begins to happen. So that will be part of your quest, right? Fear is roving for something to be concerned about. When they're on the land, and the fear is eating them, there it is. That's the first threshold and portal. Is how do I attend to what is most important when what feels most urgent is drowning it out? You all know the sentence, the urgent drowns out the important. Constantly in business, they use that. They never get to the long-term plan. I never really got to soul because I was too busy just earning a living. Well, of course, yes, survival. And then survival, you bring it everywhere you go, there's survival fear. And so it ends up getting projected on things that really, I, I have lots of friends who are Vision Quest guides. I've never heard one story of a bear eating I've heard one of, like, one drooling over someone once. um, but it didn't, it just wasn't interested in the person. So good. So then the question is, what's my relationship to fear? And how do I balance my anxiety? How do I attend to it, nurture it, love it, but also not let it drown out my spiritual life?
I'm anticipating something that may come up with one of my clients, so I'm playing a role. as you know, I feel totally committed to this, and I'm so eager to go on a soul journey and a soul quest in nature. But I'm a little bit concerned. I've been struggling with cancer the past 2 years. I'm cancer free right now. That's a result, but I'm continuing to take as a prescription like cancer medication, and overall I feel a little bit weak. And so I wonder. I wonder if I should choose a spot that is very close to home, and I also wonder if my very caring husband might want to come with me and support me in the process.
Yeah. Oh, great question. All right. So, well, first of all, do consult with your physician the next time you see them. When you say you've been feeling a little bit weak, that alerts me. So there's a little weak, and then there's really weak. And in your recovery, I don't want you to risk your recovery by getting a chill or whatever it may be. So just dial that in with your healthcare provider for sure. And then in terms of weakness, so, I have this chronic fatigue syndrome for 30 years. I nap 365 days a year. I have to do it. When I go on a SoulQuest, the Vision Quest, I nap. It's what my body requires. Other people with, I don't know, diabetes will need to do certain things to adjust their fasts. So we want to listen to our bodies, right? So if you need a little extra support, like a little backrest chair, one of these camping chairs, if you need to have a little thermarest, it's like a sleeping pad, to take some rest during the day because of the weakness, that's totally okay, because you're living with cancer or the aftermath of cancer. Do you need to be in a spot that's, not wild and have your husband with you? I don't know. I'm just sort of feeling into that. So I'm not going to do it now, but I would say, what do you think? I mean, it's just, it's a great question. What do you, it's 8 hours, you're out there. How far are you actually intending to go? If it's within a mile and she has a decent amount of strength, then I'd sort of question gently, do you really need that? Do you really need that? And if the person does, then they do. But oftentimes there's just this concern, right? So here you are, you've got cancer, or coming off of it. Well, I'm just going to ask you, and you'll channel it. Do you think with naps and a few little comfort items and warmth and so forth, that you could manage being in wild nature for 8 hours without your husband?
That sounds so gentle, and very like embracing. I feel where she's coming from. The reason why I put that element out there, because she's someone who's very attached to a relationship, and sometimes even overly merged.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know that she's so sincerely eager to go on this like so deep journey, and I feel that she will benefit feeling like she can take ownership of the process. But I love the way that you worded it. It was very gentle.
There's something called gentle fierceness. It's and I just do it. I'm relentless. It's just endless. So between me and you, I'm not going to make this judgment out loud necessarily, but people get fused, and that's what it is. And the thing is, even though a SoulQuest is first and foremost a community event, the solo period is a solo period. And just the sound of it. Can I bring my husband? No. Now I won't say that to her because it's like, no, not really. I mean, unless, there's extenuating circumstances and so forth. And then talk about it. What would it be like? What in your imagination, you know, without your husband, what are the things that come up? What are some of the anxieties or fears? And you just let, it's just like airing it out can be so helpful. So I let a person air out. So I mean, this, if you were taking notes, I would write this, like you give the space for them to air out the anxiety, right? And then you encourage them mostly simply by seeing their strength. I don't even know this person, but I'm like, you can be in a sit spot for 8 hours. You can do it. Like, you can do it is such an amazing couple of words if it's for real.